Hey, it's Jeff, and today we're going to do some chess tempo. I'm going to work on calculation. I haven't done rated chess tempo in a very long time. Rating's 1935 right now, and RD is 201. So the way I'm going to do it is set a timer for 10 minutes and just try to calculate as much as I can. Work on visualization and stuff like that. And I think this is one of the key things that'll help improve my tournament chess later on, since when you only do blitz chess, you don't get to really go deep into different variations. You kind of play a move off intuition, and you have to take shortcuts when calculating. So this will force me to calculate a little bit more than I'm used to. And so I guess the first goal would be to do this, keep this series up consistent enough to get active. So I don't know what RD, I think maybe you need a 70 RD to be active. Let's take a look. Yeah, so the active RD threshold is 70. And so yeah, that's what we're going to do. I guess one mini goal is to try to get to 2200 on standard and get into the top 100 on ChessTempo. So without further ado, let's go to the tactics. So standard mode, hard. So this first puzzle is very crucial. Get my timer up. It's very crucial because if I get it wrong, I'll lose a lot of points because my RD is so high. So really want to get this one right to get my rating up as quickly as possible, but whatever. It's possible I'll get it wrong. So queen is checking me, and there's a bishop on c7, so I can't take the queen. The only legal move is to go king f1. Now this is a funny situation to be in for the beginning of the series, because one thing, and I don't know how many of you guys had the patience for this, but I'm really going to take my time and make a move when I'm like really sure. I like double check and triple check myself a lot of times when I'm doing this kind of training. So even though I'm pretty sure there's one legal move, I'm still looking at the board, really convincing myself that king f1 is in fact the only legal move. And then it'll continue on, and I'll have to figure out the next move. But you see, like I've spent a minute and I haven't played the only legal move. That's how serious I'm going to take this, and how much time I will waste. So let's play this. Okay, knight d5. And now this is the point where we can actually begin the puzzle and try to figure out what's going on. Oh, and this isn't really, it can be kind of instructive if you're trying to learn from my thought process, but overall I'm just trying to give my thoughts, partly to help me when I look back at this years later and see like how much I've improved my calculation if I've kept this going. But yeah, it's mainly about my chess training and not exactly teaching, but there could be some benefit for learning. So one of the first things that's useful to do, especially with chess tempo, is to count up the material. So both got a rook, both got two minor pieces each, so both got a queen, 3 pawns, 6 pawns, 3 pawns, 6 pawns, so the material's equal. Now the first move that comes to mind is bishop takes d4. It's like it's winning an exchange, but is there something wrong with it? Well, immediately I kind of see that if queen h1, king e2, so after bishop takes, queen h1, king e2, he has knight f4 forking and taking my queen. But then the question is, after he does all that, can my rook take his queen? I'm not 100% sure if that's possible or not. If I had better visualization, I would know whose move it is and be able to tell immediately, but that's one thing I have to figure out. Because if bishop takes d4 is wrong, it's because of that line, that somehow him getting that fork and taking the queen is good for him. But another important thing to do at the beginning is to just look at candidate moves in general. So without going too deeply into one move, really think of all the possibilities that it could be. So the forcing moves, which you should start with, so we already identified one, bishop takes d4. There's also bishop takes d5, which it might not lead to anything. If rook takes, I do see that queen here would be a decent check. He wouldn't be able to take because the bishop would be out. So that could be something where it's like the obvious move is bishop takes d4, but if that doesn't work, this other idea does make sense. Anything else? So all these other queen checks just lose material if we go for it right away. And okay, rook e8, trying to threaten some stuff like this is probably too slow, especially since, yeah, queen h1, king e2, queen d1. That might be mate. Okay, almost used 5 minutes. But so like if this was like a blitz game, a lot of people, they'd probably just take the rook, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. Around the level that I'm at ChessTempo, a lot of the times you see a move like this, it could be a trap, and it's not actually the right move. And so if bishop takes d4 isn't the right move, I'll show you that it's gonna be the most common mistake if that's the case. So does anything else make sense? Black doesn't have, like, if it was black's move right now, I don't see, well, okay, they do have the queen h1. So it's gotta be one of these bishop takes d4, bishop takes d5. So let's go back to the first line and see if rook takes h1, like, let's just try to evaluate the position after that and clearly see the position after that. So bishop takes d4, queen h1, check, king e2, knight f4, check, king d2, knight takes h5, rook takes h1. I think we're up material there because we took their rook, they took our queen, and we take their queen. But they don't have to go queen h1. But okay, and here's another thing that I need to work on. I'm going to calculate that whole line again because I'm not entirely sure that I saw it right, or that I calculate the material at the end right. So bishop takes d4, queen h1, king e2, knight f4, check, king d2, knight takes queen, rook takes queen. Yeah, that should be okay. So bishop, so far we don't see anything wrong with bishop takes d4, but there could be something wrong. And so bishop takes d4, they could go knight, so this, you also want to look at candidate moves for the opponent, so they could go knight f4 at that point. Knight f4, because then they're threatening checkmate in 1 with queen h1, and they're also hitting the queen, or an h5. But bishop takes d4, knight f4 we do have queen takes g5, that idea again. Let's say king f8 there. Then there's bishop c5 and then bishop d6, bishop takes d6, and that's checkmate because we got a rook on e1, I think. So let's see, bishop takes d4, knight f4, queen takes g5, check. The king can go to some other squares, so king h8, I guess bishop takes f6, and it should lead to mate somewhere. And so bishop takes d4, knight f4, queen takes g5, king h7. In that case, I don't know what we're doing, because they're threatening checkmate. Maybe queen f5, and then at some point we can take on f6 with check, maybe even set up a queen bishop battery. So like if there's a queen on, queen takes f6, and let's say king g8 or h8, well it couldn't go h8, but g8, then queen g7 is checkmate, and if king f8, then queen g7 or queen h8 would be checkmate. Again, because we had the rook on e1. Okay, and the 10 minutes is up, and since I think that was decent, so takes, knight here, check, king here. Oh, well, once we go queen f5 check, he has knight to g6. Then can we go queen h5 check, king g7, bishop takes f6, king takes, oh no, this isn't checkmate because they got all kinds of pieces. But there's probably a win there, and since we're out of time, I'm just gonna play it and hope I get it right. Oh no. So was it this? Let's see. Let's retry and try the other move. Oh no, it was that. It was that. Okay, how many points did I lose? How many points did I lose? Ooh. Stats summary. 43. Okay, so that was difficult, but at least I knew it was one of those captures. So there was something wrong with this move. Okay, we're gonna look at the engine. Queen h1. Also, it was a problem with this line. Wait, no. Oh, so bishop takes d4 wins, but bishop takes d5 wins by more? Is that what they're saying? Oh, I actually did consider this at 1.2, but I forgot about it. But that is better than... Okay. I see. Because I was looking at this, which is definitely a win. But they can sacrifice and then do that. So I missed a candidate move from the opponent there while I was calculating. And so if I would have saw that, it led to some evenish endgame, even though still a little bit better for white. You're actually supposed to go here. And like after this, also bishop takes f6, so not this move. Oh, okay, yeah, of course there's a rook here. Actually, I could make this bigger. Sorry, guys. So here, okay. and then this is checkmate. So this was the move to look at, king e2. And we got to attack on the rook and attack on the queen. So in this case, they do this, and they don't have the knight here taking our queen. And then, so yeah, so this is the win. So yeah, so I missed the queen takes e1 earlier. So, oops, sorry about that. So if I go back to this point, so when I was, and this is another thing I do, when I finish the problem and I have an intuition on what to do, I start from the position again and try to visualize the solution and how I could have seen it. So bishop takes d4 was what I was considering, and queen h1, king e2, knight f4, king d2. And here I thought they would just take the queen and I take their queen, but they can take the rook and then take our queen, and they have 2 minor pieces, we have 2 minor pieces, and the pawns are equal. So that would have been a huge red flag not to play that move, because I did see some pros to taking the knight in the first place. So that was instructive. Hope you guys liked it. I'll try to do more of these, and yeah. So this was the first step to my return to training calculation more seriously. I think doing this more consistently will help a lot with my development as a chess player, and this is the kind of practice that I encourage many people to do if they are trying to increase their tactical abilities. Like whatever level you're at, even if you're rated 1200 in tactics, like just go to ChessTempo, put on hard mode, and really try to force yourself to think much longer than you normally would. And so for me, I do 10 minutes, and I'd even recommend like 10 minutes for most people, but 5 minutes is also decent. If you've only played Blitz and Bullet in your life, 5 minutes will still feel like a long time for you, but it really gives you a chance to make some really instructive mistakes if you do make mistakes. So you can see I was very close. Like I saw a lot of the ideas in the position, but there was like, I missed that queen takes e1. Like that really sticks out to me as a lesson to learn. Like I had to be, and it was a forcing move by black. So yeah, so I can definitely tell I'll be getting better as we go along, but at least the rating hit wasn't as bad as I thought it could be. And like I said before, most people in Blitz, they would probably just take the rook, but you can see that just going for this obvious move, there were more tricks, and although I was privy to that, I still didn't calculate all the variations accurately, and that's why I got it wrong. So let's look at the 11 mistakes. So bishop takes d4 is the most common mistake, played 679 times. And most people, they don't make a mistake other than that. Like it's clearly most people going for bishop takes d4, like me. So it's a good problem. Now that I did this, I wonder if I'm going to be in the habit of rating all the problems that I do. I don't know. Oh, no, okay, this was my only attempt. Okay. So we'll also see if I've attempted problems before with this. I'm not going to do a lot of problems to the point where I memorize them like I might do on chess.com. I did have that idea for here once, but I'm going to really use this as improve my calculation. And so to keep this video under 20 minutes, I am going to go now. So yeah, this was fun. Hope you enjoyed.